very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Manu, and I extend a very warm welcome to you all to the second edition of the Battery Show 2024 by Informa Markets. This session is a panel discussion about European-India collaboration possibilities in the EV battery recycling arena. And the topic of the discussion is European-India EV Battery Recycling Technologies Exchange 2024. This panel brings together views of players in the field from Europe and India, along with first-hand insights on the state of play from the startups. And to take this discussion forward, I would like to call upon stage our esteemed moderator, the lovely Miss Lina Pesce-Thomas. A huge round of applause for the lady here, ladies and gentlemen. She's the Director and Principal Consultant, Global Business Inroads. To join her, the first panelist that I would like to invite on stage is Andrea Guidali, Mechanical Engineer, Ecomet Refining SPA. The next panelist that I would like to call upon stage is Mr. Abhijit Pegu, co-founder and CEO, LW3 Private Limited. Next, I would like to call upon stage Mr. Pratyush Sinha, Vice President of Special Projects, LOHUM Cleantech Private Limited. Next, I would like to call upon stage Mr. Utkarsh Singh, CEO, Batex Energies. Next, I would like to call upon stage Christopher, who's a board member at NRS. And last but not the least, Mr. Rajesh Gupta, founder and director, Evergreen Lithium Recycling Private Limited. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here on stage. The baton of the discussion is with you, Lina ma'am. The stage is all yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, for welcoming us to the Battery Show. It's been a real pleasure coordinating with the organizers to bring this together and give us a platform for the EU and India startups. So thank you so much. So thank you all for joining us this afternoon. My name is Lina Pesce-Thomas, and this is really a program that's been brought together by both the governments of the European Union as well as the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Prime Minister of India, under what is now called the EU-India Trade and Technology Council. So for all of you who are not familiar with what the EU-India, in short TTC, is about, this is really an agreement that's been reached by our Prime Minister Modi with the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, to really bring Europe and India together to work on three specific pillars. One is digital, the second is green technology, and the third pillar is a trade and resilient supply chains. So today we are here talking under the working group 2, which is the second pillar of the TTC, which is green technologies. And both our governments of the EU and India have chosen the very important topic of EV battery recycling technology. And why have they chosen this topic? Really, because it is believed that both the regions want our companies, our ecosystems to work together to recycle the very precious battery materials so we can use them again for the production of batteries and create a more resilient supply chain. So the whole program has been designed. I'm very happy to have my team, Juliana and Soumya. Please wave to everybody who've been working together since early 2024 to put together this project, bring together the EU-India players on this particular platform. And the approach we took to solving one part of bringing these ecosystems together is to bring our startups together, to select startups from Europe who would be interested in foraying into the Indian market, as well as select Indian startups that have excellent technologies in this space to collaborate in the European Union. And through our startups, connect our ecosystems, because you can understand, there is a lot of action going on here between both the ecosystems, between the EV car producers, the battery producers, And then, of course, the people who repurpose the batteries, the recyclers, and the people who actually treat the black mass, etc. So there is a very large ecosystem in play. And it's been quite heartening building this project, bringing the players together. So to start this project, actually, we launched a call. We selected excellent technology companies from Europe and India. And today with me, you see top of the line startups. Can you hear me now? Hold it? Okay, okay. So it's good? Okay. So today with me, there are top of the line startups from both Europe and India. We selected actually four from India to take on a mission to Europe. So 2 weeks ago, four startups from India were on a mission in Europe to Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands, meeting with the ecosystem there and having meetings. And this week we were supposed to have four, but we have two great startups from Poland and Italy. Two companies couldn't make it on the trip due to other reasons, but we basically have 4+4 companies on this mission to understand each other's ecosystems, build partnerships, and potentially deploy battery recycling projects in the geography in both in Europe and India. And the whole idea is to scale up the activities between both the regions to bring more attention about the opportunities for both the regions to collaborate, in the coming years. I've heard lots of voices from people saying, oh, we've been looking at other countries, but it's very good this initiative happened because now Europe and Indian actors can look more closely at each other. Also understand what are the problems and challenges we're facing, right? I've been hearing about many of the companies talking about, yes, we'd like to do business in Europe, but these are the challenges. And Europeans saying, we'd like to do business in India, but there are challenges. But I'm most happy to hear about the opportunities, and all of you have in different meetings shared these opportunities. And so I'm going to pause here now and start to invite all my, these amazing technology startups that I've had the privilege, honestly, to get to know over the last few months. So I'm going to reach out to them. The structure of the panel is I'm going to ask each one of you to talk about your company, your technology, as well as your ecosystem. What is happening, what is the state of play there. Please take about 4 minutes each. We'll take a quick round, and then you can talk about what you want to do, but we'll come to that next question. So Christopher, if we can start with you, introduce yourself and your company, and we can continue from there.
Thank you very much indeed. And the first half there has already evidenced the reason why we're coming, to find synergies and opportunities. NRS is a group that is dedicated to environmental protection and energy transition, and it's a group that is focused in Poland. We have created a startup 2 years ago to do the recycling of batteries, and we have inaugurated last year one of the largest European treatment facilities for production waste and from EV batteries, which is operating in Żarki for 27,000 tons per year. We are dealing roughly 20, 30 batteries of electric vehicle every day, plus 200 or 300 tons of production waste every month. We are shipping black mass all over the world, 1, 2, 3 containers every week. So we are a practitioner. And we come to India for two reasons. The first reason for which we come is because, of course, in India, there will be, in the next future, plenty of EV manufacturers who are going to attend the European market. And when a foreign manufacturer enters the European market, they have to demonstrate the recycling ability for their product. And we have always been approached by people, so we a positive and active step coming in India and demarching those operators, because probably anticipating will facilitate their opportunities and ours. The second reason is about the loop. There will be no position in Europe without having implemented the loop, the recycling loop, from the generators of waste up to the recyclers, the precursor producers, and the cathode material producers. And this is the future, and this is why we are coming in India, because we hope to find, and even in few hours we have already identified and started negotiating opportunities for doing joint business, commercial cooperation, and probably in the future joint operation for treating our black mass in India into the necessary elements that could be either re-exported from India or used in India, because in Europe, we have, with the new battery directive, 3 thresholds. We have to increase the recovery of cobalt, nickel, and lithium, and it's challenging. And we have also to prove that the new batteries that are entering into the market, or the new vehicles that will enter into the market by the end of the decade, will contain a certain percentage of recovered material from recycling. So it's not only an issue of sparing the cost of new ore refinery, it's also a regulatory cost for European market. And we are coming in India for that. Our market is not Polish. It's a full European market, and we have a technology, we have a practice, and we expect very, very good outcome from the coming year.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Christopher, for setting that very enthusiastic tone. I'm going to keep the spotlight on Europe for a bit more and invite Andrea to talk about your company, technology, and the state of play in your country. Yeah.
So, hello everyone. I'm Andrea. I represent Ecomet Refining here, which is a society operating in north of Italy. We started with the first plant in 2012, which is still operating to this day. And we have a different approach than most of recyclers. Actually, we use a pyrometallurgical technology mixed with hydrometallurgical technology. And it was firstly used to treat e-waste, but from that we actually enlarged the spread on a lot of different materials. In fact, one of the advantages of the technology is that we are really flexible in terms of what we can do. Just the know-how is what we really use and we really sell, because after the success of the first company, we start having clients all around the world using our technology on e-waste, on batteries, and so on in USA, India also, and Europe, obviously. So the state in Italy at the moment is that, we've seen a lot of interest in the recycling batteries, because there's a lot of material that have to be disposed, and that's the same scenario that's for sure going to be present in India in the following years. And that's also why we are we are really interested on developing some business in the country. At the moment in Italy also there's a lot of funding coming from states, from the government, to increase the rate of production of treatment that we can have, and so in fact we are developing our second and biggest plan so far, being able to treat around 18,000 tons per year of mixed waste, including batteries, of course. So, as I was talking about, we are really interested in spreading also, in enlarging also in India, finding partners in the form of investor, but also clients. We are really open to that, because, as I was saying, we already sold the technology all around the world. And when I say sold, it's just not equipment, it's just the know-how that follows it. That's the important part. So we basically have a lot of strict contact all around the world. As I was saying, already in India, using the same type of plant on different material, mainly industrial waste is coming from goldsmith industry, but in general precious metal industry. In fact, what we have that is only our knowledge, our business in terms of waste treatment, because the group in fact contains a lot of different players in a lot of different parallel fields, such as metal refining. So we actually have a lot of contacts spread all over the world. That's one of the reasons we wanted to make good use of them, even in the country. So I don't know if
Yeah,
something-
thank you. Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you,
Andrea, for this information and also introducing what's happening in Italy to all of us. So now I'd just like to move again now back to the focusing on India, and starting with my right, Pratyush. First let's talk about your company, and also what do you think about India, and maybe a couple of comments of vis-a-vis the EU, since you were just there for 2 weeks as well. But yeah, over to you.
Hey, can you hear me? Hey, I'm Pratyush. I'm representing a company called Loham. We are India's largest lithium-ion battery recycler. We process lithium-ion we have a capacity to process around 20,000 tons of lithium-ion batteries, and we produce end products like lithium carbonate, cobalt sulfate, nickel sulfate, etc. out of those. We also are India's only NMC cathode active material manufacturer. So we have a qualification plant of around 150 megawatt hours, not very far from here, around 10 minutes drive from here. So if any of you is interested, please hit me up and we can probably see what can be arranged. So yeah, that's about the company. We have our main plants in Greater Noida, but we have a nickel refinery in Gujarat. We are also expanding to the south of the country. So we have around 85 acres of land bought in Tamil Nadu and Telangana, where we are setting up again an integrated facility for recycling, refining, and then cathode active material manufacturing. These will be co-located with the gigafactories in the south. We have a JV with the UAE government. So we are setting up the first recycling plant in the Middle East in Sharjah. And we recently announced a JV with another recycler in the US, where we will be setting up again an integrated facility with them in the state of Indiana for recycling and then refining of lithium-ion batteries. Now, coming to Europe, I talked about India, UAE, US. Europe is the market that we are quite excited about. And the next area that we want to explore, we are looking for all sorts of partnerships over there. So sourcing, supply, and technology partnerships, as well as operational partnerships. And so I was in Europe last week, almost 10 days with Lena and Julia. And we visited Hanover in Germany. We visited Breda in Netherlands, and The Hague, where we went to the Dutch battery show. And we visited Brussels. We met a bunch of companies. We met a bunch of research institutions and a lot of local government organizations. It was a fairly interesting visit. We got to know how the European ecosystem works. There were some positives and some negatives. Positives being that there was a lot of enthusiasm and curiosity about India, and people wanted to know how they could work with India. On the negatives, I did see a lot of protectionist sentiments as well, not from everyone, but at least from parts of the ecosystem, wherein people wanted to do everything within their countries, not even Europe. So I think that those are the positives and negatives. We are certainly quite excited. We see that Europe has a lot of interesting research going on and a lot of traditional legacy industrial know-how that Europe can leverage, and that we in India can also leverage. And in India, we have companies like Loham that have actually scaled up recycling and refining at relatively low costs, and that is something that I think European companies can leverage, especially the gigafactories, as well as companies working in reverse logistics and parts of the recycling value chain. So I think there is a very natural fit over there. I'll stop now. I'll probably bring
Thank
up more things in the next round.
No, awesome comments, Pratyush. Thank you for that. And I'm just going to move to Utkarsh. Please share about your company as well as your technology, and few comments on your visit there. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Firstly, I would like to thank EUTTC, departments of PSA as well as European Union, who helped us to go to Europe and explore the entire sentiment around battery recycling, because that adds another perspective to what you are doing in India. As a company, we are Batex Energies. We are a fully vertically integrated recycler and refurbisher. That means once we collect the battery, we do the production of the black mass, and then we utilize the black mass to extract all the critical materials. These are cobalt, nickel, and lithium salts. In case there is some charge into these batteries, we take them for second life applications, which can be either in the energy storage applications as well as creating off-grid charging solutions. So that gives us an edge to understand and operate across the entire lithium ion battery value chain. As a company, since we already are getting a lot of batteries back and we are now able to recover the materials, we are doing our extensive R&D how to reutilize this material back in making a new PCAM and then to CAM, so that this material can complete the entire cycle. As a company, our genesis and is basically from the R&D lab. We used to work out of Hiromoto R&D lab, and that's where Vikrant, my co-founder, and I, we both started working on this particular topic. But the use case for this entire battery recycling will fall in place if this material is being able to use back into the supply chain of batteries itself. In terms of European, our trip to various other countries, there were certain learnings. The one that we realized is the accuracy that is required to develop a process. Europeans definitely understand it much better as compared to Indian research. So we had a lot of interest to collaborate with different European universities like the U Delft or Tilburg University, where we can write projects to the professors there and can take our research onto next level. It can be related to graphite, how we can utilize. There are certain problems in recycling today. The first one and the biggest one is the reutilization of graphite that I believe nobody in India is been able to solve today. Second is there are certain effluents that are created, and as a company, everybody is trying to figure out how we can generate the maximum value for those effluents. So we are also focusing on that, because once we are able to solve these problems, we will be able to generate much better margins in recycling. And the matter of fact is, if we don't have the proper margins in recycling, there is lack of motivation. So as a company, first problem that we are solving is clearing the waste. Second is how to make it more cost effective. And that can only happen if we are able to recover the materials with the best efficiency and also get into specialty chemicals using these salts either for batteries or for different applications. So that's what our motivation is, and we are very much open to collaborate with all the European companies who have come here or are there in Europe for technology transfer and making our world more clean. Thank you.
No, very good, very inspiring. Thank you, Utkarsh. And I think what you mentioned about the true value of what we're all doing will be seen if the materials we recycle is actually reused to make cells. That would be amazing. So, yes, Rajesh, we have become very good friends after our trip and getting to know each other and your interests in Europe. So, would love to hear about your company and share with all of us here.
Hello everyone. Thank you for inviting us here and creating a good platform. So I will start with how Recycle Karo started and something about my company. So Recycle Karo, of course, we are in India, so everyone knows Recycle Karo means do recycling. So this was the name, how it was. This was the name, and it was started in the year 2010. So it is the 14th year that we are running this company. Initially, it was started with a vision of creating a critical mineral, rare earth metal, and specialized mineral extracting company. And also the idea was to organize this unorganized market. 2013 is is when we started our first processing facility. It was a very small facility where it was a learning phase for us. Since I'm a first generator entrepreneur and metals were very new to me. Uh, from 2013 to 2000 till 2024, we have covered a long milestone. Today we are today we extract precious metals like gold, silver, platinum from electronic waste, which was our initial business. Then 2018 is when we started extracting cobalt, lithium, manganese from lithium ion batteries. So we are the first company in India who started extracting this cobalt, lithium, manganese from lithium ion batteries. Initially, we were on a very pilot scale with a very small capacity, just 5 metric tons of cobalt sulfate per month. Then once the quality was approved in the market and the efficiency was proven, then we went ahead and we set up a commercial plant which is up and running now. So our current plant is capable of processing 4,200 metric tons of lithium ion batteries, out of which we process 2,400 metric tons of NMC batteries as well as LCO batteries and 2,000 metric tons of lithium phosphate batteries. Processing lithium phosphate batteries, it's very challenging throughout the world. Even we were in Europe, everyone was talking about lithium ion batteries, and it's very challenging to process. But luckily, our Indian technique, we used our Indian technique, and we are very proud to say that we have already started recycling LFP in a profitable way. Though it was challenging, it is challenging, but still we managed to recycle it more efficiently, as well as the quality of our product is like close to say battery grade or close to pharma grade. It's already battery grade, but maybe it's like the new results are very amazing. I mean, you can also compare it with pharma grade. Of course, you will not be selling to pharma industry, but yeah, this is the fact. Way ahead, we are already in the expansion mode. We are expanding our electronic waste facility from 7,500 metric tons to 20,000 metric tons. The construction is already ongoing, and in next 4 months, Jay,
Sorry about
Jay,
that.
in next 4 months, we expect our plants to be commissioned. Uh, Also, our lithium ion battery business, we are like also in the expansion mode. We expect our lithium ion batteries, the new plant to be functional by end of this year
Yeah.
with a capacity of 15,000 metric tons per annum. Yeah, so this is
Yeah, we'll
about
just, yeah, thank
yeah,
you,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
This
We
is
just have
about my
another
company.
round.
About
Thank you,
yeah, yeah.
Rajesh.
About
Europe,
about the
yeah.
mission, EU
Mission,
mission.
yeah,
It
EU
was
mission.
very encouraging, especially the way companies work there. It was very inspiring to us. Uh, Also, I would like to mention about the universities. The universities we visited, it was like amazing. They have done amazing work, and we are very excited to work with them, since now we have opportunity to do some collaborative work with them. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah, very good, very good. I mean, I think what's revealing here is that Europe has great tech, India has great tech, but there are clear opportunities and gaps for each company and country to plug in and work together and build something bigger for our countries as well as our companies. So, thank you for your comments. And to my left, we have actually to me built something very different from all of the companies here, but I'm going to welcome him to say a few words about what this very innovative technology and what he's doing.
Thank you, Lina. Warm good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Abhijit, I'm the founder of LW3 Private Limited. So we are a battery passport company. Probably you haven't heard of much about this in India, but there has been of late a lot of discussions around this particular concept called battery passport. Even today, I think in Mumbai, there was a presentation in IIT Bombay regarding a concept which is similar to battery Aadhaar. So let me start with three questions which we ask ourselves in a company. Like, how do we track the critical minerals or the EV battery for circularity? That question also aligns with the critical mineral sovereignty of our country, as well as I think this was what we learned in Europe, that they are also concerned about this the containment of the critical minerals in their continent, because both sides we are deficient in those minerals. The second is how do we reduce the trust deficit that exists in the EV battery supply chain, as the battery moves from the CAM producers to the producers to the OEMs and along the value chain, upstream, midstream, and downstream. How do we get them to talk to each other seamlessly? And the third question is, how do we encourage users, the end users of our EV vehicles, to recycle the batteries, right? Is regulation sufficient? Is that what we ask ourselves? So at this critical point in time, there are two major things happening across the globe. One, we are constantly being seeing the circularity ambitions or the sustainability ambitions around the world. And secondly, we are also seeing blockchain technology as maturing since it's been almost a decade now. Still, we have a lot of insecurities around the technology. However, it's a very underlying technology. The cryptocurrency aspect is a taboo, probably associated with us till date. But the technology has moved quite a lot and advanced itself to the state that it's near 37,000 transactions per second, which is close to the experience which we have with Visa and MasterCard. So now the technology is mature. So in this critical intersection, what we found is there is a unique business opportunity where we can, align this battery circularity as well as bring blockchain into this field. So that is what we do primarily. And as far as European tour was concerned, it was an eye opener in multiple cases, because by going there, we realized there is also the same sentiment as Utkarsh was mentioning, and also I think Pratyush was mentioning, that awareness and requirement of a battery passport there itself, about how do you recycle the critical minerals again and again and again, because critical minerals can be recycled infinitely as they don't die, right? So there was great interest in our solution from a very big player of reverse logistics based out of Netherlands, and also from a family-owned company in Belgium. They also showed interest in our solution. So I think it was a great learning opportunity. I would like to thank everyone from India, EU, TTC, and Lena and Julian, and also everyone on the tour. And I would wish all the best to the startups going forward in India. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit. I think the proof in the pudding would really be if you companies actually deploy in Europe or in India respectively. So on that note, I'd like to kind of do a round of very quick comments from all of you on where you think are the key areas in which EU and India can collaborate. You can talk, it can be in the context of your own company or also generally, because this is really a topic of circularity of the battery ecosystem, not just about our individual companies. So I think what I'd love to hear from you, given your observations, of course, for Christopher and Andrea, it's your first day of immersion, so to speak. But I'd like to get your views very quickly on where EU and India can collaborate together to make this really impactful. So, Christopher, can we start with you? What's your wish list? Where can EU and India collaborate really together?
I think it's very good to be next to a friend, because traceability and share of information is not only necessary, but it's vital for two things. It's vital first for making a good quality recovery, because what we put in the line is what we get at the out. And second, because traceability will be the only path for implementing the circular loop. So it's very good to go on that. And I think we mentioned that both India and Europe had good technologies, and to many extent, they are complementary. And they have to be implemented benefiting that complementarity. So this is exactly the purpose of our meeting and the success that we can expect. On my personal behalf, on my point of view as a spoke practitioner, I believe we will do the hydrometallurgy with Indians, and that there will be cross participations, there will be long term partnerships, there will probably common GVAs, and I long to come back in India to implement them.
Great, fantastic, and that's really good. So Pratyush, we can, yeah, perfect. In 2 minutes, that was very precise. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, Pratyush, why don't we go in that right order? Yeah.
So there are a couple of things. First is we think that the scale and cost structures in India, as Mr. Christoph also alluded to, are probably India is the only country that can match China in that, and India can be a very natural partner to EU. So the first thing in our wish list would be to have free movement of material. There not be trade barriers. There's material that should move from India to EU and material that should move from EU to India, and the value chain is complex, and there is expertise across the value chain in both the places. The second place there where where we should collaborate is on harmonization of standards and digitalization, as Abhijit talked about. Can recycled material have HSN code extension that is common across India, EU, China, and other countries? That makes traceability much simpler. Similarly, standards for cathode active material and other products. The third thing where we can collaborate is on R&D. So Europe is very good at what I say TRL 1 to 4, doing fundamental research and coming up with new technologies, developing equipment, especially we saw in Netherlands thin film technology being pioneers of thin film technology. In India, we are very good at scaling and deploying technology that is already proven. So what's called TRL 7 plus, where both of us get sort of miss the mark is between TRL 5 to 7. How do you get the technologies, new technologies, and catapult them into industrialization? And that is where I think there can be a lot of collaboration. There are a lot of good research labs in Europe coming up with new technologies. Can Indian companies work with European companies and scale those technologies in India? Get them from TRL 5 to 7, and that's where funding is also required, because that is where you are struggling to figure out the right business model. And I think that's where funding will come into play, whether that's in the form of grants from the European Commission or Indian ministries, or in the form of private equity or other sorts of funds that can come into the picture. So these are the three broad areas of cooperation, in my opinion.
No, these are excellent and I think practical and quite doable if our public policy and business and money investment kind of work together. And that's the purpose of this exercise, for us to meet, experience each other, share, and come out with what's going well and what can we do better together. So thank you for that. Rajesh, over to you. How can EU and India collaboration crack the code? Yeah.
So for me, I would like to highlight number one is the EU norms, which are very good when it comes to waste management, especially the storage of the waste and transboundary movement of the waste. I think we should jointly look at maybe improving or maybe adding to what we have in our rules. I think that can be a promising step. Apart from that, I think EU recently have a batteries management rule. So which says that to manufacture new, like we also have in India now. So which says that certain percentage of recycled material has to go into manufacturing of new cells. Okay, so I think that is also an area, because luckily in India we already have recycling facilities running in and doing, like the capacities are also wonderful. And EU, there are some cell manufacturers already started recently. So I think the products that we manufacture here can also maybe go there, and you can use it in your products. And number three is the universities, which I already spoke about. So they really have on a academic level, they have done really brilliant work. I think we can collaborate, and something nice can be created for both of us. This is my point of view.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
fantastic, fantastic. It's very tangible and concrete. Thank you so much. Abhijit, back to you. Where can EU India work together?
So I think we all know what is the strength of EU when we went there.
Mm.
It was the research and the regulation, RR, I would say.
Okay.
And in India, when we look at things, we have frugal innovation. That is what we are very good at, which you also call jugaad sometimes. And of course, nobody can compete with China except us in case of the costs. We know about ISRO, how they put the satellites on moon with so less a budget. So I think these are the two things which we can do a cross pollination, and with that we can achieve the desired outcomes which we aim for.
Yeah, I think this is going to be music to the ears of both our governments. Thank you for being so precise. Utkarsh?
Yeah, I think majority of points have already been covered, but I'll just put it in three different perspectives. The first one, where the collaboration between India and EU can really work out, is in making recycling more cost effective, which a very well example is already proven by China, which has taken lead in this. So we believe that together, because we could understand the problems of EU and you can understand the problems of India with such collaborations, and we can derive a cost effective solution. Second, our most effective learning has been, with technology we also have to solve for traceability, and as a company we kept this in our priority list little low, but after our visit from Europe, I'm happy to announce today that in the morning L3W and Batex have signed an MOU for developing a joint solution for traceability. And the third one that I want to really put out here, and which we believe, so EU not only has to solve for EU, India doesn't only have to solve for India, but together India and EU has to solve for the world. And that is what we should target. We should have ambitions to solve for the world together, not just for India and Europe. So together we can create solutions which can solve for even countries in South Africa, African markets, Southeast Asian markets. So I think that will become a winning mode for both of us. Thank you.
No, amazing. And I have to tell the whole audience, I did hear in Europe when we were all together that these guys spent the time in Europe to work this out. Am I right? So Europe had a role to play in Indian joint venture. Fantastic. Thank you. And also, I think, having listened to policymakers both on the EU and India side extensively, it's been their dream also to see EU and India work together to solve global challenges. So thank you for addressing that point so clearly. And now, Andrea, where do you think EU and India can work together?
Well, I agree with what my colleague said, that knowledge sharing also it's something fundamental, because actual problem, recent problem on disposal are something really complex on a technology level that can be just matched with just one person or one organization. So we have to collaborate to try to solve all these issues. Also, the geographical side of the problem is something that need to be addressed, because with WASTIS we can just have a single country or a single geographical area in the world take all the waste. It's a problem that needs to be solved locally. So that's another matter that's very good to collaborate and to create a joint venture between the countries. Another thing for sure that already been addressed, it's the matter of transparency in terms of, in this case, product passport, traceability of what we have, because obviously the goal is to have a clear and perfect solution to understand where the product we have come from. And that's really a good first step in terms both of policy and technologies proposed. that need to be developed more, of course.
You know, fantastic. I mean, I think, I don't know about all of you, but this has been really an eye opener for me as well. Just listening to all of you share, and I think it's a mutual feeling for all of us because we're discovering these things as we meet and speak. I think we have about, I think 7 or 8 minutes, and I'd love to hear from the audience and also to open up for any interactions, any questions from all of you. Happy to get, so whoever you are, if you have a question or even a comment to contribute, please raise your hand, introduce yourself, and share. Yeah. So, any questions from the audience? Yes, can we have a mic move there? Yeah, please introduce yourself and your company. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. My name is Sakshi. I'm from Wood Mackenzie. I'm a research analyst working in the battery supply chain. So my question is regarding the economies of scale pertaining to the recycling industry, specifically in India, because we do not have a lot of end-of-life batteries till now, from the EV specifically. So what is exactly the feedstock that the facilities are using right now? Where is the feedstock coming from? How do we actually ensure the consistency of the type of batteries that are being recycled? So that's
Yeah. So this is to the Indian companies, right?
Yeah.
So maybe a couple of you can start. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll take this up. So at Loham, I mean, I'll address your second question first in terms of consistency. Today, the biggest tech challenge any recycler has to address is the variability in the feedstock. So that is the key technology that you have to develop. There are two, basically, I would say three main challenges over there. The first is your recovery rate. The second is the purity of your material. And the third challenge, where variability really comes into the picture, is the impurity profile. So you need to ensure that your sodium, calcium, potassium content is low. You need to ensure that your magnetic impurities are low. And that is where a lot of R&D has gone in. So over the last 4 or 5 years, that's where we've sort of worked really hard to ensure that there's a consistent output. The first question, where is the feedstock coming from? Bunch of different places. Today, you have a lot of consumer electronics batteries that are coming to the end of life. But over the last 20 years, lithium-ion batteries have been used in consumer electronics for almost 20 years now. There's a huge stockpile of batteries in the country. That's no one that has sort of been like orphaned batteries over the last 15 years, and only now have started getting recycled. So there's a huge feedstock that's already there that we need to recycle. You have a lot of production scrap coming from all the large two-wheelers and three-wheeler companies that have come up for EVs. And you can't even imagine the kind of production scrap these guys are generating, simply because they're trying to scale up so fast that the processes are not able to keep up. They're changing their cell manufacturers, so there are lots that need to get recycled. So there's a bunch of those. The third source is commercial batteries. So India started deploying commercial EV batteries in 2021, 2020-21, that era, just after the first wave of COVID. Commercial batteries have a very, I would say the duty cycles are very stringent. You have even up to 2 cycles a day. A lot of those batteries are coming to the end of life now. So that is another source of your feedstock. Then you have your imported batteries. So we were the first company in India to have a license to import battery scrap. I believe there are a few other companies now that have a license as well. These licenses are given by the DGFT after a recommendation by the MOEF and audits by CPCB. So there's a lot of batteries coming from outside India as well, or at least that will come from outside India. And even apart from all of this, there's a projection for gigafactories to come up. There are 3 of them that are already pretty close: Ola, Exide, and Amara Raja. So we expect some of them to start generating production scrap. In the beginning, you can expect production scrap to be as high as 40% of the entire feed. So next year, that will become a large source of batteries. And then subsequently, I think there's a projection of around 180 gigawatt hours or so by 2028 or 2030. So you can expect around 20 gigawatt hours at the bare minimum to come from just production scrap. So there's a large amount, that large volume of scrap that's already there and in the form of stockpiles, large volumes that is expected to come, and then there's a global market that you can target. So there's a lot of economies of scale that is still to be achieved. I mean, we are the largest recycler. We have 80 to 90% of the market share, but we still think that we are only 1% of where we can be with respect to the total amount of batteries that are to be processed in India. Not even 1%. I think the total projections globally are of around 7 or 10, 8 terawatt hours. China will have half of it, so around 3 to 4 terawatt hours outside of China. So you can imagine the kind of scale we are talking about here.
I'll just add to it.
Yeah.
In India, around 50,000 metric ton of waste is coming per annum, out of which you can break it into two different sectors, unorganized versus organized. Unorganized will be your scrap from portable electronics. In last year, around 70% came from the unorganized sector and 30% came from the organized. Wherein by 2030, only 20% will come from the unorganized sector and the remaining will come from the organized sector, and this will grow exponentially.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And
Also, I would like to add a
Sure,
very,
sure.
very smaller but important
Yeah.
point. If you see, cobalt prices have been not steady. I mean, if you see the market 2 or 3 years since, once upon a time it hit a huge. Uh, I remember cobalt maximum I sold at 1200 rupees cobalt sulfate. So that is when people started collecting. They went ahead and started collecting from market. So I think that was also a point where more of the batteries started coming in the market.
very
you
good
so
real
much.
world experience. Yeah, we have one more question. I think we have time for one more question. Yeah.
Actually, recycling process and setup is a big setup, you know. So I want to know that if there is any kind of small setup or small system is available in this market, what is cost effective and low budget? Is there any available system or technology which is run for the
Sir,
Small
unfortunately, I think to start small, I would suggest you start with black mass production. That would be much feasible for you. But if you try to operate a hydrometallurgy, the refining plant on a small level, I am afraid that it won't be feasible for you. So,
how much budget?
sir, it depends on the volume that you are trying
No,
to process.
I want to know that because if some people want to run a startup through recycling process, but what is the scope and how can they run for the low budget? I want to say that.
Sir, about the scope, it is wonderful. But low budget hydrometallurgy plant, I am afraid it won't be sustainable, and I think you'll end up.
any
So you should
connection-
you should not try to set up a small hydrometallurgy plant. Rather, you start with producing black mass initially, and then as you progress, then you can go ahead and set up a hydrometallurgy plant.
I can just add to it, sir. You really don't need to invest the capex if you want to get into this business. Just start collecting the batteries.
Actually, I want to
think-
say that because now at present vehicle market is small
Yeah.
area, you know, a small percentage, 2 or 5%, right?
Yeah.
So we can't collect from Kanyakumari to
Yes,
Kashmir,
but-
you know. So
Okay.
small quantities available in this market.
Yeah.
But that is a
So-
big amount, but small quantity.
Okay.
If I want to start for a small area and small budget
Okay.
to start for startup, it is a big thing, you know.
Sir,
because
so I can give you the numbers.
cost
Start,
effective.
yeah, cost wise, start with a 5,000 square feet facility. Set up a black mass production unit of 100 metric tons feed capacity per month. And the cost of that will be close to 1.5 to 2 crores,
Okay.
including the capex and the little bit of opex money. If you want to go for hydrometallurgy, it will be around $1,500 per metric ton to $2,000
Okay.
per metric ton.
Okay.
For the larger scale, minimum scale you should do for hydrometallurgy is 100 metric tons per month black mass feed capacity. So in short, you need around 10 to 20 crore rupees to run your black mass business with the working capital, and you need around 50 crores to run your hydrometallurgy.
Any help we can
We are
go
also looking
that.
for help only, sir.
Okay, please
Yeah,
contact number. And,
I think we'll,
yeah.
you know, we should take this discussion off the stage. But I think I want to appreciate all the panelists, not just for your comments today, which have been an eye opener, I'm sure, for the audience, but also about your openness to share learn, and collaborate already from now. I mean, I'm just seeing you share a business plan on the spot. I mean, I think this is so important to share so that we can grow this sector and do more recycling and make our planet more sustainable. So thank you so much to the audience for joining us and all our panelists for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you all here with us today. And to show our appreciation for that, we have a token of appreciation, mementos, for which I would request our lovely moderator here, Ms. Leena Pishe Thomas, to please come forward and help me felicitate everyone on the panel. So the first person that I would like to call forward for felicitation is Andrea Gidali. Next, I would like to call Mr. Abhijit Pegu. Next, Mr. Pratyush Sinha. May I request Mr. Utkarsh Singh to please come forward. Christopher, may I request you to please come forward? Next, I would like to call Mr. Rajesh Gupta. Please step forward, sir. And last but not the least, our moderator, Ms. Leena Pishe Thomas. I would like to felicitate you personally, ma'am.